If it hadn't been for places like this, your home might never have been built, because for more than 100 years now, this part of Thurrock has, among other things, been the home of British cement. But what's been a boom for the building industry has also been a bane in the lives of many of the people who actually live here. All they see is a vast expanse of often unused, devastated and windswept land, rather like the moon, yet amazingly only a few miles from the metropolis. Now, however, with the appointment of Britain's first ever local authority land reclamation officer, all that could change. Because it's his job to transform these 5,000 acres into the sort of place where homes might be built. Homes which, perhaps ironically, this earth has helped to produce all over the world. Everywhere, in fact, except here in Thurrock.
We're dealing with three kinds of sites. The one behind me here is, of course, a clay pit, a very big, very important clay pit, supplying three major cement works on the Thames. It is about 65 feet deep. It is about 40 feet, that floor, below sea level at the present time. And this kind of site is easy to fill because it is the kind of obvious site to tip refuse, and it won't do any real damage to the environment. It can be covered afterwards and restored to agriculture or to a country park type of after use. The other kinds of pits, sand and gravel pits, are generally fairly shallow. They're something of a problem to refill. Refuse is not necessarily in order for those kind of pits due to high permeability of sands for refuse liquors and so on. The other kind, of course, are the giant chalk pits, which of course are 80 feet odd deep, and they have no, at the present time, no obvious filling, what shall I say, propensities. These are the major problems that we have to consider.
Why have you, as a local authority, not done something about these 4,000 or 5,000 acres before?
I would suggest that until the holes were dug, there was nothing we could do.
But the holes have been dug for quite 20 years in some cases, even more now.
In many cases, they have been recovered. The ones that have been excavated for more than 20 years are the chalk pits, where, as I have said before, there is no satisfactory means known of recovering those at present. And our action in employing a reclamations officer is an endeavour to find a means.
But even so, don't you think that maybe you're about 5-10 years too late? You should have started much earlier.
Possibly, but it's always possible to be wise after the event.
We have, of course, a framework here, which I think hasn't really been constructed before. It is a joint advisory committee consisting of the mineral operators themselves with their technical experts, the landowners, who of course are deeply interested in the ultimate value of sites which have been quarried out, for which they've received royalties in the past, etc. And of course all the local government agencies. And I think together we're going to go a long way towards solving these problems, and probably rather more quickly than some people fear. I.e., perhaps 10-15 years we shall see a very considerable amount of this problem solved.
It seems a grand plan, but you do have a lot of problems, don't you? For instance, tipping rubbish is obviously has already in fact angered many of the local residents. Are you confident that you can do this without any great inconvenience to them?
I think anger of that kind is often based on a lack of confidence due to ignorance. They're not taken into the confidence of the authorities in this. They're not told how safely this can be done, how technically well it can be done, and what are the ultimate benefits. It's a question of communication, a lot of this anger.
Isn't it also a fact that you also run a very grave risk of polluting half of London's water by doing the work you plan to do here and reclaiming this land?
Well, this is where we've put an enormous amount of effort into this site, and I think it's going to be a model of its kind. It will eventually appear in the technical literature, and I think it will be much admired because an enormous amount of study has gone into this, and as you see, we haven't tipped anything yet.
I understand that the Nature Conservancy Council may have reservations about this scheme. Could you tell me why?
Well, certainly in Thurrock as a whole there are many pits which are in need of some form of reclamation, but we feel that many of these pits contribute significantly to the wildlife value of the area, and feel quite strongly that it would be a shame if this value wasn't recognised, and if in the process of reclamation it was in fact destroyed. Obviously we're up against it a bit, but I think people are becoming more and more aware of their environment. They're concerned that a balance should be achieved. I think just as people react against the quarrying that's gone on here, I think a good proportion of people would react against a massive housing development.
Why hasn't Thurrock got government aid for this project?
Well, that's very much a big open question to me too, because this country has over 100 years or more had Portland cement to make its foundations, to build its bridges and so on, and it's come out of Thurrock, places like Thurrock and the North Kent shore, and nothing has come back here. I think that this should be given very serious consideration.
Looking at this area, the layman might say that it's the miners who are to blame for the mess it's in now. Is that a fair view?
No, it isn't at all. What is important to realise is that they've probably been working out of context. There hasn't been the kind of coordination of effort between planning authorities, the national need and the local need, and so there's been a lot of mess left.
This is now, I suppose, your kingdom, your territory. You're in charge of the operation. How do you see it in 25 years? What would you like to see on this site where we're standing and in the area as a whole?
Well, in 25 years, hopefully this will be part of a considerable and much admired country park serving Thurrock, a Thurrock with a much higher population than now, and in the other areas further south and to the west, there will be hopefully a lot of land made available for factory sites, for new homes, town centres and so on. And of course obviously highways, a new road network. I think that Thurrock will be a very much better place in 25 years' time.